Obviously, a man's gonna catcall you, whatever. Like that's to be expected. Is it right? No, it's not right, but it's expected. Just like if I go out in the hood with chains on, diamond rings, all this other stuff, expensive clothes on, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna get my shoes taken. Is modern feminism hurting men? Is that even a question? This is a video by Gen or Jen, so let's get straight into it.
Are men trash?
Oh, cis, heterosexual men, absolutely, especially white men.
What rights do you think that men have that women don't today?
A woman can still walk a street and not feel protected versus a man can.
Women are probably like underrepresented.
Like, it started off with great intent, but you have people who abuse the system.
A hatred of masculine energy.
It's like anti-men.
Today I'm out here and I'm asking, is feminism still relevant in today's society?
Yeah, absolutely. If anything, it's more relevant now than it ever was.
Yeah, I would say feminism's still relevant today. You know, we built this country, men, but women at the same time got to supply more men, right? With no women, the world doesn't go round.
If you look at like domestic abuse, for instance, we know that it happens to people of all genders.
What is this? 91% of domestic violence crimes that cause injuries are against women. That's 91%. 93% of perpetrators who abused women survivors were male. 83% of domestic violence victims who are subjected to more than 10 crimes are women. Each year, over 65,000 victims at high risk of serious harm or murder are discussed at Marak meetings across the UK. 95% of these are women. Wow. Did not know that. Is this just in the UK or is this around the world?
But it seems to be like disproportionately like affecting women.
Is feminism still relevant in today's society?
Yeah, I definitely think it is. They put up a lot of bullshit, pull up with sexual harassment, they put up with a whole lot of bullshit us men just don't have to deal with.
Of course it's relevant. Throughout history, women have been discriminated against.
It is, but I think it's changed a lot. Feminism started out as women's rights, and now it has skewed into something entirely different than what it was.
Are we going too far? Did we do this and all the rest of that instead of being angry?
Now it's morphed into something that's more preaching like a superiority over men kind of stance. Like I work with some people who would consider themselves heavy feminists and they are constantly dogging on men and they openly say, I hate men.
I would say that as long as men are alive, feminism is always going to be relevant.
Why?
Because men.
It's like today we're more polarized than ever before. And if men and women can't get along, it can only hurt society.
There are some radical feminists who generally hate men.
They consider us a hate group.
The patriarchy.
But in today's lack of nuance, is it considered sexist to even question the topic? And if I had to be honest with myself, could I do it without my own bias? I guess we gon' see. What rights do men have today that women don't?
Oh, let's go down the list.
A woman can still walk a street and not feel protected versus a man can.
I think we all have equality when it comes to laws.
Men are able to walk out maybe in whatever they want to wear or, you know, be able to stand strong through societal pressure.
That's not necessarily true. I cannot go outside in 2 o'clock in the morning, have gold chains on, a watch on, the latest iPhone, and act like and go in the hood. I cannot do that. I'm gonna get robbed 9 times out of 10. My life is gonna be threatened, and it's gonna be terrible. So that's not true. I don't know what that's talking about. I'm not gonna say that women. It's worse for men. I'm pretty sure it's worse for women for like to go outside, especially if you're wearing like crazy clothes, like your booty hanging out, your mangoes out, and everything. Obviously, a man's gonna catcall you, whatever. Like that's to be expected. Is it right? No, it's not right, but it's expected. Just like if I go out in the hood with chains on, diamond rings, all this other stuff, expensive clothes on, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna get my shoes taken. Simple. So it's just, you have to use common sense, bro. That's the world we live in. We live in sin. So that's what with sin and people not giving their life to Christ. That's where the results is gonna be. Simple.
I feel like women take a lot of precautions just by being a woman themselves, you know.
Statistically, just going into like a corporate setting, if you look at how women are rated on performance review versus men, the language that's used, you know, assertive versus bossy, or kind of the dynamic of how individuals are interacting in the workplace, I do think that there are societal norms that place women at a disadvantage, absolutely.
I think you have to, so for instance, for pregnancy, right, there's no law saying employers can't like fire you if you're pregnant. Or like abortion, for instance, like that's a law that like only affects women, right?
But don't you think that's just kind of explained by like biological differences?
But why does that justify making a law anyway that literally discriminates women?
So biological differences lead to different treatments and reality. And so I wanted to take a different view on this topic of equality. Do you think today that women have certain privileges that men don't have?
Yeah, part of that goes into being able to say certain things that, you know, men would get scolded for.
They can just talk completely out of their ass freely. You're not allowed to say nothing back.
Do you think, let's say, like, do men have problems that, let's say, that women don't experience? For example, in statistics, like, men have higher rates of suicide, and, you know, obviously men die more when it comes to, like, wars.
Women can go to war.
Yeah, but how about, like,
Women can go to war.
it's true. Who's overwhelmingly going to war and dying in wars?
Men. I'm not gonna argue that.
I mean, I feel like the war thing is a little hard to get into just because for the majority, men are going to war. It's not really women going to war, so of course more men die.
Why do you think that is?
I feel like that's just because it's kind of like the roles that society portrayed forever ago. Men are warriors and men are the ones that are fighting, and then women.
Do you think more women should go into war then?
Absolutely not. No woman should ever go into any military.
But wouldn't that be going against equality if you're barring women from going in the military then?
Well, I'm not saying barring, but I'm saying, like, I feel like as a woman, you should know that you're not going to be putting yourself in a healthy situation going into the military. Because,
but
like,
women want equal rights, right? So why don't y'all go to war? Why don't y'all do the hard jobs? Why don't y'all be a construction worker? Why don't y'all go do the hard stuff, be a plumber, do all that stuff? Why? Y'all want equality, right? Y'all want equal pay, right? So what's the issue here? Be a police officer. Do the man hard job. What's the issue? You want equality, right?
it's harder to be a woman in the military than it is to be a man.
I think that feminism is also, it's almost an excuse for behavior. Flashing your tits or something like that, you know, behaviors like that. Like, but if a guy wanted to pull just his balls out, you know, it would be a little less socially accepted for sure.
Yep.
So.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
Do you think in this sense that men have less privilege today than women?
Privilege is all kind of like how you look at it, what you're looking for. I think I'm pretty privileged. A lot of black people probably don't say they're privileged, so that's kind of how I look at it. We need to just stop looking and thinking everybody got greener grass and kind of just accept the fact we're not in a third world country, you know, with Russia invading us or some bullshit. You know what I mean? Like,
Thank you. He's not a freaking bot. He's not a victim. This is what most of the black community needs to understand. We're not victims. Like, we're not in this whole, like, white man's over us and all this. That's the thing that they came up with. They don't want you to free think. They don't want you to get out this matrix mind of, oh, you know, the white man's over us. They have a privilege over us and all this other stuff. No, they do not. They have to work just as hard as us. Just because of the color of their skin doesn't mean, I mean, back then, sure. But, like, now it's not to that extent. Like, you're going to have racist people and like people that's gonna like try to up you or whatever, but for the most part it's not to the extent like how it used to be. We need to stop playing the race card and talk about, oh, the white man did this, the white man did that. Stop being a victim, bro. That stuff is annoying, honestly.
Life ain't that bad. It's 78 and sunny out. Chill.
And you're high as shit right now, aren't you?
I'm cooked. Thank you.
Now, I don't know what to exactly make of what I'm about to explain to you next, but it may explain what's happening with society today. An experiment called Universe 25 created a mice paradise with an abundance of food and water. The aim was to study behavior over a time period in an attempt to explain human societies. And it was all good, but after 315 days, something unexpected happened. The population reached 600 and a hierarchy was formed with larger rodents starting to attack and cause male rodents to collapse psychologically.
Under those conditions, social behavior broke down.
This led to a new class of males called beautiful males who only care for food and sleep, and isolated aggressive females who didn't want to reproduce. And eventually, the society collapsed because of the lack of reproduction and lack of care for their young. And the scary part is that after repeating this experiment 25 times, the same results were observed over and over again. A viral Facebook post drew parallels to today's society with weak feminized men with no protection instincts and overly aggressive females with no maternal instincts.
We need to kill all men.
It's a bit of a stretch, but is it possible that that's what's happening in the West today? Is the negative reaction of feminism coming from the fact that not only are women struggling, but also men? Let's take a closer look and see what this really means. May I ask you, like, what are some like examples of misogyny that you faced?
Oh, let's see. I went through there was one time, I'm a psychology major. We were tasked with counting how many times we got catcalled. I realized every time during that month I went to a gas station at nighttime, I got catcalled.
I've seen some of my guy friends literally make 30 grand more than some of my girlfriends just because they're men.
But let's say that the pay gap.
What job do they have? I muted it. What job does your male friends have and what job do your girlfriends have? Please clarify that.
Does exist? Why wouldn't firms just hire women then?
They have to find probably quotas at this point.
Do you think there's quotas for men?
No, probably not. There's a lot more men in power in the top 1%. A lot of the women are the ones left in the dust.
There's definitely, like, in the top 1%, I think there's definitely more men, for sure. But let's say, like, in the bottom, right? Like, most suicides are men. You know, most people with depression are men. Do we sometimes ignore that to maybe showcase disparities where it might not exist?
Yes, men do have a disadvantage at that point.
So is it fair to say then that both genders at this point maybe have disadvantages in certain situations, but when it comes to the law, they're pretty equal and even opportunities?
Yes, it does have that societal influence more from a social standpoint. It's not necessarily what is placed in the law, but it has everything to do with how people interpret the law for themselves. With women, it's you have to jump through all these barriers in order to even be elected in office.
However, I did hear though, like for every male college grad, there's 2 women college grads. Yeah. And I believe most college students are actually women. So I guess what would you say to that?
I know that women are probably like underrepresented in like the military or in trade school, so men might find more interest in doing that instead of like getting a bachelor's. So like that's like a whole career path that like women really aren't being encouraged to do as much.
I mean, I guess would you say that there's probably different interests in general between the genders?
Now there's like much more of a push to get women into STEM, so there's like more of that, but when I was younger there wasn't really that going on.
So it does raise the question, does feminism account for the advancements made, or will they have happened regardless? And if so, is feminism more important than ever to preserve progress and also to prevent regression towards inequality?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it should remain. Originally, it's not a toxic thing. Again, what modern society has morphed it into, especially, you know, things like social media, it has turned it into more of a superiority kind of cloak than it is actually pushing equal rights.
So bro, like, I just gotta add, bro, feminism back then was not how it is now. Feminism back then was actually a good thing because they actually suppressed women. They actually messed them up. They actually really, like, women couldn't do anything back then. Like, you could not speak certain things. You couldn't say nothing. You couldn't do anything. Like, you guys couldn't vote. You guys couldn't do a lot of stuff. You guys couldn't work. You guys didn't have no equal opportunities. You guys, all you guys had to do is literally just stay at home and take care of the children, and that's it. Now you guys have all the stuff in the world, and now it's to the point where it's like you hate men. You want to be superior than us. You want to work everything. You want to do everything, but you don't want to work the hard jobs that we were designed to do. So it's like, how much more equality do you want? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's craziness. It's really craziness, bro. Can't please people, man.
It did make me think, are we at a point now where there's actually male inequality in the West? And in a video titled exactly that, seems to be the case.
My latest book is Of Boys and Men, Why the Modern Male is Struggling and What to Do About it.
But is he just one of those red pill, misogynistic, cisgendered anti-feminists? And what he found through his research is that women are leaving men behind in advanced metrics like education and the workforce. In the 70s, Title IX was implemented to close a 13% gap in college degrees between men and women, but now there's a 15% gap in favor of women with degrees. And so today, there's evidence that there's inequality on both sides. And as feminism has pushed more representation for women in STEM, we're not seeing similar efforts for men in female-dominated professions like HEAL or health, education, administration, and literacy. And with blue-collar jobs disappearing, men need jobs. And the thing is, there's availability. For every 1 STEM job, there's 3 HEAL jobs, but currently only 26 of those positions are filled by men, whereas 27% of STEM positions are filled by women. And so the more controversial a topic, the more we need to look at the nuance. But today, are we even able to, or even want a discussion in the first place? Are men trash?
Cis, heterosexual men, absolutely, especially white men.
Weren't you just talking about equality?
Oh, absolutely. But we have to have that viewpoint because of how much we've been attacked just by that gender.
But you just said that all straight men are trash. Like, that's a pretty big generalization, don't you think?
It definitely is. It's not necessarily something I'm gonna like saying via statistics. I'm saying via experience.
Are men trash?
No, I like my dad. He's not trash, so most men are trash.
I don't think men are trash. Men just have more advantages. But like I said, like I wouldn't want to be on the front lines of like, you know, some army. I don't.
That's when feminism goes out the window, right?
That's it. 100% does.
So I wanted to ask the same, but the reverse. Are women trash then?
No, I don't think anyone's trash.
Yeah.
I like
okay,
people.
good.
I think that
Good.
there are some people that have had really bad hands, but in general, I would like to think that most people are good.
What would happen if we said that women are trash?
No one's good. Only Jesus Christ is good.
I say it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think they're trash too.
I thought you were a feminist.
I'm not a feminist, no. Maybe a little misogynistic. No, I'm just kidding.
But all kidding aside, in order to have a discussion, there needs to be mutual respect. And if equality truly is the goal, do they mean that in all aspects? Why do you think women are allowed to say that men are trash, but men can't say that women are trash?
Because, I mean, just based off of history, you know, men have been the dominant sex. I mean, not even really 100 years ago, women were more of an obtained piece of property.
Sometimes women are trash. But I think more men than women for sure.
It's one of the many double standards.
That's because of what feminism has turned into. It's no longer about the equality of men and women. It is more the differences between men and women.
And in recent times, that history of inequality has been exposed in no other place than Hollywood.
With Hollywood's sex abuse scandal growing by the day, Me Too movement.
Me too. Me too. Me too.
The Me Too movement in 2017 raised awareness to numerous stories of sexual abuse of women in the workplace. And not only was the movement successful in exposing individuals like Harvey Weinstein, it even had an impact on public policy through the passage of laws to prevent harassment in the workplace. But like anything, the pendulum swings both ways. And despite its success, the Me Too movement promoted extreme slogans such as "Believe all women," and along with it created a climate of fear where innocent men were unfairly accused and reputations destroyed.
Did Johnny brutalize you? Ever?
And the most notable was the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, where Heard wrote an op-ed alleging that she was
this is really gonna just make men not say nothing to women. Like this is really, like, this is some scary stuff. Like, imagine you try to talk to a girl, right? You're confident. Let's say you're egotistical, right? I'm not gonna say egotistical. No, that's too much, because no one likes an egotistical person. Let's say you're just a confident guy, right? You try to talk to this girl, and you know, you be like, "How you doing?" You have a casual conversation. You know, she's cordial with you. You're having a good conversation. You ask her for a number. She says, "Nah, I'm good. I'm not really interested." And then you're like, "Oh, okay, no problem." And then she goes and be like, "Oh, he harassed me. He sexually harassed me," or something like that. And then you would actually get in trouble for that, because she's a woman. If a man was to go up to a police officer and say, "Yo, this woman sexually harassed me," and she actually did, you think the police officer is gonna take you serious? No, he's not taking you serious, bro. All the woman has to do is cry in their face, be like, "Oh my, he did something to me," and they win. Literally, they win. Now, this is not to minimize the women that actually get harassed, but this just goes to the movement of Me Too, that any innocent man could just literally get convicted for no reason. It's crazy. It's insane, bro. Like, a woman could just not like you, and they could just say, "Oh, you arred her," or you harassed her or something. It's crazy. It's crazy, bro. Really insane. A man cannot do that, though. First of all, a man's not gonna do that, because if a man catch you doing that, then you're a coward. Like, you can't even do that. So yeah, if a woman does that to you, it's wise that you do that, but 9 out of 10 society is gonna, like, violate you. So we can't win. That's a double standard. We're never gonna win, honestly.
And it wasn't until 4 years after getting canceled from everything when Depp won the defamation trial for the false allegations. Do you think that in a certain way Me Too movement also went too far?
It started off with great intent, and it's designed to have great intent, but you have people who abuse the system and people who take advantage of it, and they see a payday or a time for fame, and it ruins it for the real people out here who are actually victims.
Me Too is for true survivors.
The unfortunate reality that any overcorrection swings back just as strongly in the opposite direction. And so, is this what's happening in modern feminism in the West today? And if so, how can we correct this overcorrection before it's too late?
The best way that I could learn from you is by sitting down and listening to you, and really trying to understand, seeking to understand where you come from, and learning from that dynamic and that dialogue.
I say conversations like this, right?
Absolutely.
I think that we need to get rid of terms like feminism. Feminism is more of like a suppression of masculine energy, essentially. Getting rid of that sense of, like, dominance of one over the other would be the better society to exist in.
Because if negative attention wasn't enough, it's now becoming harder to be a feminist, even if you're a feminist. For years, the author of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, identified as a feminist who advocated for women's rights, whether it be speaking out or through donations or advocacy. But in 2020, it was as if none of that mattered anymore. After expressing concern on Twitter what constitutes of women, she was berated by activists as misogynistic and most notably a TERF. TERF stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist, and is an acronym used by trans activists to describe someone as transphobic for believing that gender is based on biological sex. Due to this, Rowling has faced strong criticism to a point where it has impacted her legacy. The new video game Hogwarts Legacy is labeled so controversial.
Oh, so that's what it's about? I heard people was attacking people who was playing the game because of that. Yo, I'm not gonna lie. If you're one of those people that attack somebody for playing that game, even though that game is purely demonic, if you went after somebody for playing that game, you literally are a bored human being. You got nothing else better to do. You need to go out on a walk, have a picnic, eat some sandwiches. You need to do something with your life because you are bored. You literally have nothing else better to do with your life. You don't. You can't even read a book. That's how bored you are. You have to literally go on your phone, type with your cheesy Cheeto fingers. You're a transphobic because you're playing a game by a transphobic person. Because I'm playing a game. Because of something somebody said that they don't even have to agree with, but because they're playing the game, they're like that. Okay.
Where Twitch streamers are refusing to play it for fear of being called transphobic. And similarly, it's this extremism masked as inclusion that's dividing the feminist movement from within.
Like, what is this? What is going on here? What clownery is this? What clown school is this? What is going on?
Confusing the original message of equality for all. Would you say you're a feminist yourself?
Absolutely. I wouldn't say I'm not a feminist. I just think that like the word feminism needs to be redefined.
What should it be called?
I don't know. Seeking truth and justice and equality. I don't know.
The men are trash group?
No, men are not trash.
And so if women are hesitating to identify with the movement, it's likely due to the impact of the extreme. Because if equality is achieved through bringing others down, it's creating issues where none exist, perpetuating double standards. But with that said, feminism is needed. While true equality may be difficult to achieve and some may not actually desire it, nothing significant ever came about through indifference. The pendulum is ever swinging, and we need individuals who push for progress and serve as a check to maintain balance. But today, how can we even navigate differences if we can't even question the nuance? I guess it's up to me to lead the way, and it all starts with exploring the unfamiliar. Thanks for watching, and subscribe if you want to see more.
It's just by giving your life to Christ. That's all you gotta do, really. You can't save the world, bro. Only Jesus already saved the world when he died for everyone's sins. So you can't do anything about it. But yeah, man. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. Like I said, I'm gonna give you guys my honest thoughts about feminism. I think it was a good thing, but they dragged it. They dragged it like in the beginning. And I don't support feminism when it came to the abortion thing, because that's murder. So I think everything up until the abortion part and Margaret Sanger, everything was fine. Like, with women, going into the workforce, which is a controversial thing as well, because they did that for a specific reason. It wasn't because women were suppressed. They did that to destroy the nuclear family, to destroy traditional values. That's what they did that for. They didn't really do it for women's rights. They did that for, I'm not talking about the woman that was advocating it, because they were just following what they was following. They just heard what they was, and they heard something, and it was like, it was good to their ears, and they just went about protesting. They didn't know what the real reason was for, and that's why we're in this position right now. It was to destroy traditional values and destroy the nuclear family. That was the whole point of doing that. They didn't do it because women's rights or nothing like that. That wasn't the genuine reason why they did that. It wasn't because of that, bro. Yeah, feminism was a good thing. Up until they started doing a whole bunch of stuff. It started to become extreme. They started to drag stuff. They started to hate men. They started to just do a whole bunch of stuff, have zero brain cells and all this other stuff. And it's really sad. It's really sad because, there's women out here that really be trying to fight for what's right. And they are like, moderate. They're not, because there's some feminists out there that don't support abortion. There's some feminists that don't hate men. They just, strive for women. And that's totally fine. There's even red pill women feminists out there. There's a lot of them. You know what I mean? They support women. They love women. They feel everything should be right for women. There should be equal rights and all this other stuff, and things of that nature. But obviously, feminism nowadays, modern feminism nowadays, is just hating men. We don't need a man. Get your money, boo boo. Get your nails done. I don't need a man until I'm like 40 years old, or I just don't need a man. I'll just stay with my cats and be lonely, and then complain when I'm like 50, 60 years old, almost to the grave. But yeah. It's sad, bro. Anyway, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, make sure you do so. The video on how to get saved is in the description. I love each and every one of you. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. And yeah, that's about it. I love you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.